Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending the Board of Appeals meeting of the City of Holland. Board members are regular citizens of Holland who have volunteered and have been appointed by the City Council to consider applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals, excuse me, Housing Board of Appeals, the Construction Board of Appeals, and accommodations for persons with disabilities. This board must interpret each application as it relates to city ordinances. This board is not empowered to rezone or take any action that could be considered rezoning. The agenda is in the order that applications were received by the city. The presence of 4 board members is required for a quorum. It takes 4 concurring votes to approve an application. If only 4 are present, applicants must be reminded. The voting would need to be unanimous to be approved, and they are welcome to ask for the application to be tabled. So we have a full board here today, so we're good. When the application is called, we ask that you come to the microphone at the podium, state your name and address, and then we will hear the applicant explain their application, and then the board will have the opportunity to ask questions. We'll have public hearing where members of the public or other interested parties may address the board regarding the application. If anyone is here to give public comment, we allow each person to speak one time. Comments shall be directed to the board, and comments must be limited to 5 minutes. After the public hearing on each application is closed, there will be no further opportunity for public comment as it relates to the application. Decisions of the board are final and are effective the day of such decisions. Applicants may appeal decisions to the circuit court in accordance with state law. If you elect not to stay for our deliberations and decision, you may call the Community and Neighborhood Services Department after 8:30 tomorrow morning to learn the results. Meetings are streamed live, online, and recorded and available for view through the city's YouTube channel. Our first order of business is approval of the meeting minutes. Do I hear a approval to approve the meeting minutes as written? Can I hear an aye from everyone?
Aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Those meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. At this time, we provide an opportunity for individuals from the general public to
Mr. Chair,
yes.
can we go backwards? I think we need a motion and a second, and then everybody can say aye.
Excuse me. Moving along there.
Thank you.
So moved to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Seconded.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay. We're all set there. So part of the Public Acts meeting, we provide everyone in the city to make public comment, not necessarily relating to the applications here, but is there anyone here who wants to speak to the board in general and not necessarily regarding these applications this evening? Okay, hearing none, let's jump into the applications themselves. Would the clerk please call the first one?
First is going to be 806 Papa Drive, application 25.07Z. Nancy Jane Sagmo is requesting a variance for a shed at her property at 806 Papa Drive. The corner of the shed will have a 2-foot 1-inch setback from the east side of the property line, where a 3-foot setback is required. The Board of Appeals may approve the request if certain conditions are met.
Thank you. Is there someone here to speak? Oh, you're already in your chair.
Yeah.
Please state your name and address, and then tell us about your application and what's going on or what you're doing there.
Okay, testing. Okay, is it working?
Yep.
My name is Janie Sagmo, legal is Nancy Jane, and my address is 806 Papa Drive in Holland, Michigan, beautiful city. I'm here to, my application is to have a variance of the setback requirement. We did a new survey. Well, first of all, we had a fence that was taken down. Prior to that, I had a shed built, and the shed was well within the 3-foot setback. And then we took the fence down to replace the fence. It was old and falling apart and stuff. And the property owner that was my neighbor who lives out of state, he ended up disputing the property line. And it turns out, I talked with the backdoor neighbor, and the backdoor neighbor said that the previous owners, not my immediate previous that I bought the house from, but prior to that, they had apparently agreed to put the fence there, and that was not disclosed to me when I bought the house. So it was assumed that my fence was my property line. When I went to apply for the shed, I did all the research online. I went to your website. I pulled up all the different things that the website has. I believe it's the GIS system. And based on that and what we had been told and stuff, determined that, and where the pictures showed where my fence was, it showed more like the overhead lines between the road and the telephone pole was the actual property line. Well, the neighbor disputed that, and so I stopped everything and ordered a survey, and the new survey showed that my fence was entirely on the neighbor's property. And I have a very irregular shaped property line. It's like a pie slice was taken out of it. And so the new property line actually showed that very, very sharp angled line, and it ended up intersecting a very small corner of my shed. So instead of it being over 3 feet setback, it was now 11 inches short and encroaching upon that setback. My shed, I've submitted a letter from the builder outlining how they build it. It was built from the ground up on a cement pad, and what they do is the walls fit over the cement pad like a shoebox, and they construct from the ground up. I went with a design that matched my house, which really added to the curb appeal, and I gained 40 square feet interior because I had a 12 by 10 originally, and the new one was 10 by 16, so it went narrower and deeper, which was actually a good thing because it might have, if I had gone the other way, it might have been the entire shed that was encroaching on that line. The options that were presented to me in the letter that the city sent was to check with if the neighbor would sell a foot or so of their property to me. He was not willing to do that. His family has owned it for like 75 years, and he wants to keep it for his family, and so that was not an option. Then there's also that to have it moved, could be moved to another part of the property. There's no other area, because of the irregular shape of my property, there's no other spot where a shed could legally be put of any size, and the shed itself cannot be moved. It would have to be totally deconstructed, board by board. It's not one of those Home Depot sheds you just pick off their lot and plop it on yours. This was special, full construction from the ground up. And it is, what do you call it, supports, it's anchored. It has the supports in the corners and stuff. So, the other things, some of the factors involved, how this happened and took place was totally out of my control. I did due diligence for the new shed. The demo and construction permits were okayed. I had the shed built, and then a new survey showed the funky property lines shift, which narrowed my property even further. And a small section of the northeast back corner, 5.5% of my total perimeter of the shed crossed that sideline. Not the sideline, the setback of the sideline. Almost 95% of the shed is still in compliance. As I have already stated, the uniqueness of my property is quite unique. Very irregular shape, narrow. It's not a cookie cutter property like in most neighborhoods. I live in Holland Heights, and like I said, it's like a pie slice. Literally, if you look at my neighbor's lot and mine and the one next to it, it's like my property like here, and boom, it's like they took a pie slice right off of it. Too bad it wasn't pumpkin.
TV's on the front?
Pardon. You have a question?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh.
Just wanted to make sure you knew that the TVs are showing us the lots.
Oh, okay. And then, oh, I already covered that. So in closing, I respectfully request you consider all these factors in your decision of whether to approve my application for a zoning variance on the setback requirement.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and we've received everything that you've submitted, and we've all discussed it, we have a study session. And I think, through that study session, I think some of the board members, will have some follow-up questions, so.
Okay?
Anybody has anything?
Janie, I think you mentioned this, but was there consideration to other locations on the property for the shed?
As far as before I built it,
Correct.
no, because I already had an existing shed there, and I advertised on Facebook, and some people from up north came down and hauled it away, and that's the site of the shed. There was no other area. I have a sideline on the south side that there's not enough width for a shed, and the back is very narrow. There's just, I did get a little portable, tiny little thing that I put on my back deck, but that's for lawn equipment and everything else, the shed. The old shed was literally falling apart. It had carpenter ants, it had wasp nests, it was in very, very bad shape and an extreme eyesore, both to myself and I assume people driving by, oh, that might look cute because there's a little window box of flowers, but the window, you could never close it or open it. It was bad. So I needed more space and decided instead of trying to repair the old, to get the new, and that was the only available place for a shed.
Can you talk to us a little bit about why the shed is the size that it is? Why that size was chosen?
The original shed was 12 by 10, so it was 12 feet wide and 10. I needed more interior space for my shed. There's a lot of things that I can't have in my garage because of my disabilities. I have severe latex allergy and severe multiple chemical sensitivities. So I can't have like the yard equipment, anything gas powered. The only thing that's gas powered that is in my main garage is my truck and the snow blower during the winter. But I needed more storage. And so because I couldn't extend out to the side, I had to go deep. And I did all the measurements and it was all within, checked everything on the sheds and everything was as was known where the property line was, it fit. And I went only 10 feet wide. So I actually put more room on the sideline from the shed and then straight back the 16. And I kept it parallel with the house, and it gave me the extra space that I needed for not only the lawn equipment, but then also for other storage that has to be outside. Any other questions?
Janie, had you considered moving it forward a little bit more so that it?
No, my permit, the when it was granted, that I had to cannot go further than the front of the house. And my shed is even with the front of my third stall garage, which was an addition that the previous owners put on. And like I said, at the time, the shed was within, I wasn't encroaching on any setbacks.
Any other questions? All set? Any other comments before us closing this part out and opening it up to the public?
Application, and I covered all my notes.
All right, sounds good. Last chance for the board? All right, thank you. This time we'll open the public hearing and we'll ask to see if there's anybody else who wants to speak to this application. Might have to grab that microphone and put it on the podium for us if you don't mind. And again, name and address, please.
My name is Phil Baker, 815 Birch Drive in Holland. The property is owned by my brother-in-law, my wife's brother. Jane makes it sound, very innocent, but number one, the fence was put up and was my brother's fence. It was never her fence. Number two, she took out pine trees. When she took out the pine trees, she had the Kubota drive on my brother's property all the way to the back and took out pine trees, and then it took out fence. She didn't do anything from her side of the property other than put the shed up there. She claimed she asked at the house. Well, the tenant at the house is black. My wife obviously is not, and she said she thought she had talked and got approval from my wife. No, it was the tenant. The tenant said she could drive on the property, which she wasn't allowed to do. So this all starts out before, before anything else. My wife could certainly make some comments on some of the things. I'm obviously forgetting a number of the points. She does have, according to Gary, the neighbor behind, Dan, she actually could put that shed closer to her house. There's a number of things she could do. You can move entire houses, so you can't tell me you can't move a shed. It's not preferable, I agree. It's just on a cement pad. If you had to cut the pad and move the pad a foot over, there's options that way. Like as stated in the papers, her family has owned this, for 70 some years. They're not interested in cutting a chunk off the end of the property. The hedgerow should still be there. Those bushes should actually be replaced. The fence should be replaced. We didn't ask or demand for any of that. We just said, put your shed where it's supposed to be, not on Christopher's property. Miss anything, or you want me to say anything else?
Christopher submitted.
You gotta talk up.
Yeah, either he has to say it or you have to come up and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Robin Baker, Christopher Prince's sister. I live at 815 Birch Drive.
Thank you.
I just wanted to confirm that he did submit a statement that you should all have read that was pertinent specifically to the shed. The shed was built how long ago?
I have to look it up.
It's
here.
been there for probably a year, I
Okay.
think. What transpired, I don't believe my brother instigated a complaint. The city was contacted because this summer, Janie took down a fully mature, over 6-foot hedge, half of it, that was on our property, that my mother is English. We have hedges on both sides of the property, and I go there every other day to work in the yard, and then half of it was gone. So I thought the BPW was working on the power poles back there. I never thought that a neighbor would do this to us. Nobody talked to me. Nobody contacted my brother. His information is out there if anyone wants to check the tax records. And she maintained that that was her property. And so I think that's where we started to make some questions. I think we contacted Danielle Weeks, and she had received a permit for the shed, which actually the foundation of it extends. Like, she put up a new fence, but they had to cut a little hole out, and that you might have pictures of that, I don't know.
Yes, we do.
But, you know, they've made some agreement about the hedge, which is irreplaceable, a 12-foot hedge, or 6-foot. And it's just that it's not right. It's kind of like if someone had stolen something from you, and it further emboldened her to do more. And like I said, it wasn't just the hedge, it was 6 feet on the other side where the Kubota went in to do that.
Sure. Okay.
I just was very upset about it, and my brother would like you to follow the rule of, you know, the zoning requirements. And she did have a survey done at that point when we noticed the hedge, and then surprise, surprise, the hedge was well within our property. The fence that was also on her side of the hedge was also on our property. That, I think you have some background
Yeah,
on
we have
how that was
pretty much
cut.
all this information, yes.
Yes. And basically, it's a small house on a very small lot, and like Janie mentioned, the 3-stall garage kind of filled it up. So to have the hedge on the other side of it, the shed on the other side of it, really packed everything into the property. So, those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the record, we did receive an email that was distributed to the board from Christopher Prinz, the property owner of 814 Pawpaw Drive, and also from Dan and Jennifer Sorick, who live at 160 Hope Avenue.
We did receive those, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak to this application? All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Discussion from the board, or motions, or what's the pleasure of the board?
I have some discussion points that I just want to talk through with the board.
Sure.
The first being that based on the photos in the application, and in the application, the portion that sticks out from the fence appears to be not part of the structural foundation of the shed, but decorative retaining wall bricks.
I'd like to add that I think, and maybe staff can correct me though, it seems that in fact there may have been another location where the shed could go on the property. Is that in fact a correct statement, that there was no other place? I thought it was a discussion that it could have gone on the far side and still be within the ordinances. Is that correct?
During the study session, yes, we did
Okay.
discuss that there did appear to be room on the south side of the house between the house and the property line.
And I think also in study, we determined that in fact, the shed could move forward towards the street and still be in front of the house, or was that?
The permit said otherwise. So the permit said, we just added up, I think.
Yeah,
Tricia,
let me go back
but,
to,
The permit says it cannot extend beyond the front of the house.
Okay. That's what I'm asking, because I know we had a couple
No.
measurements we were throwing out there
And-
earlier, and I wanted
and
to
I
make sure
heard-
that that statement was or was not accurate.
Yeah.
so the permit does say, remove existing shed and replace with a new 10 by 16 shed next to the attached garage. Shed cannot extend into the area in front of the front line of the house.
Gotcha.
Shed must be a minimum of 3 feet away from the garage and the side and rear property lines.
All right, thank you.
And I will just add that the shed is currently 3 feet from the garage.
Okay.
I
Any
ju-
other discussion?
Yeah, maybe this goes without saying, but we are not here to judge intent, right? We are here to judge by
Oh, we're all
the
just ordinance here.
ordinances,
We're
and
just, we're,
that's it.
we're just
So,
reading the ordinance and applying
Right.
that to each of the applications that come forward.
just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page there. So, thanks.
Yep. Anything else? Do we have a motion?
I want to make a motion to approve this. I think she did everything right as far as the city goes with the permit and doing her due diligence best she could.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Findings of fact.
All right, so the first question question we have to answer here. Are there unique circumstances or physical conditions with the property such as narrowness, shallowness, shape, water, topography? I believe that there is a uniqueness to this property. The applicant described it as irregular and unique as well. With that top section being cut off and where the house sits, I think it lends itself to being unique in that way.
Is that enough? Thank you.
Continuing on.
So did the current property owner do something that created the need for this variance? I personally have a hard time with this question in particular, so I would love to hear a couple of thoughts. It feels like she did her due diligence and wanted to put it in the right spot. So I don't personally think that
Do you want to talk about how the lots were created or when the house was
Yes.
built?
Sure. Yeah. So the house being built in 1991, I guess,
Was that within her control when she
That was
installed
not.
the shed?
no, she purchased the house much later.
Just as to help everybody along here, part of the conversation, and we always struggle with this when we're doing these things, especially on this particular question. But in study session, we talked about the property itself. And was the property, did they do something with the property? As much as it feels like she did something with the shed, the question is really about the property. And she did not build the
She
house.
did not. No.
She did not section the property lines, et cetera. So it's a tough question, and just wanted to reiterate what we kind of discussed
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah,
And that was done many years ago. Yeah, so there's various guidelines to who, what, when that property was split, and there's several different options on what was correct, and unfortunately, nobody found out till later. But she did her due diligence to do according to everything that she knew, according to what the city knew, according to what the property guidelines were laid out for her.
And this is where two plats come together, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So there is a little discussion on that line as well?
Yeah, there's, I think we talked about that also in study, where a couple different surveyors put this, the plat together, and they come together kind of at this point here, and there's always a little uniqueness or discrepancy related to two plat lines coming together, so just some general conversation about that.
So I do think that she determined the shed's location and size, but like we talked about in study, I think the location and size have good cases for why they are the way that they are. The location, because it would not fit in another location in the yard without making the backyard unusable. Also because it seems to need access for what she's storing in there to the driveway. And then the size had a good case. She actually made it less wide than the previous shed. And she had a good case for why the size was the way that it was based on what she had to store there that could not be in the garage.
How about our third findings there?
Yes. So will strict compliance with the required 3-foot setback unreasonably prevent the property owner from using the property for an allowed use, or will complying with the rules be unnecessarily burdensome? I do believe that complying with the rules and moving the shed, since there seems to be no other viable location for it, would be unnecessarily burdensome in this case.
Okay, one thing, I think we determined that it could have gone on the other side of the house.
Did we determine that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just a reminder to the board that financial implications of anything are, we don't consider those
Yeah, but
in
then
any of our decisions on the board.
if it were to go to the other side, then based on what she's storing in there, I believe she would need a driveway going to the other side.
Okay. Keep going.
Sure.
Please.
The requested 2-foot 1-inch setback the minimum necessary, or is there another amount that would provide similar relief? Currently, as it stands, that is the setback that is required for the shed.
That's where it sits.
It's where it sits now. And do we think that the requested variance will cause a negative impact on the neighbors? In addition, I don't believe so. This is a unique lot and kind of a unique situation that I don't believe will set any precedent for the neighborhood.
Additionally, we can't vote here based on anything other than the structure, right? So keeping that in mind, I would agree.
Rachel, how you feeling about the findings of fact over there?
If we could have a little bit more discussion on both the 4th and the 5th questions. Is the requested 2-foot 1-inch setback the minimum necessary, or is another amount that would provide similar relief?
So the reason for that change, as we discussed in study, the reason for the change in recent years from the 2-foot setback, which it was previously, to a 3-foot setback, was to ensure that eaves of a structure did not overhang someone else's property. I do not believe there are any, they're very minimum, if any, eaves overhanging the property. I don't even believe that there would be any. I think the main concern here would be potential water coming from those eaves, which doesn't seem very concerning with the amount that's overhanging here, given that it's just a corner of the shed.
Thank you.
I think my only issue is I'm struggling with number 3.
I think we have enough findings of fact on that one.
Okay.
Are you good on number 3?
So we need to revisit 4?
You did 4.
We just did 5.
Okay.
Does the board think the requested variance will cause a negative impact on the neighbors?
I'll go back to why that exists and for how much of the eaves are overhanging, how much, if there is any structure that's actually taking up the neighbor's property, or if eaves are overhanging on the neighbor's property. And I don't believe that to be the case. So I don't believe that that would have a major, if any, impact on the neighbors, notwithstanding the non-structural, which we are not considering, right?
All right. Miranda, can we do a roll call?
Okay, so the motion is to approve the application. Lockery,
Yes.
Falstead,
Aye.
Lambers,
Yes.
Peaks,
Yes.
Benitez,
Yes.
and Chair Bedard.
No.
All right, the motion passes 5-1.
Okay. Please
Can I
call.
can I make a real quick comment?
Absolutely.
Also, during the study session on this application, we did talk about the pavers and the existing pavers that appear to be over the property line. And the discussion that the board has was that's not under the purview of this board. That would be a civil property line dispute between the two neighbors. So just want to clarify that we did see that, we did recognize it, but it's not really under our purview. That would be a private issue.
Same
you.
with the bushes and the tree removed as well, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. We have the next application read, please.
Sorry. Next application is 1033 Lincoln Avenue, application 25.08Z. Rob Horton, on behalf of RCP Development LLC, is requesting a variance for site lighting at a proposed gas station located at 1033 Lincoln Avenue. The proposed light levels are up to 65-foot candles on the site, where 15-foot candles are allowed, up to 1.1-foot candles at the property line, where 0.5-foot candles are allowed. The Board of Appeals may approve the request if the certain conditions are met.
Thank you. I see someone step to the podium, so I assume you're in support of the applicant, or are the applicant. I need your name and your
Yes.
address, please.
My name is Mandy Goss. Address is 13060 South US Highway 27, Suite D, DeWitt, Michigan 48820. I am with CESO, the civil engineer on this project. I'm here representing Rob Horton, the future property owner, hopefully. So,
Gotcha.
appreciate your time today. So our request is for the proposed Speedway branded 7-Eleven that will be going in at 1033 Lincoln Avenue, Holland, Michigan. Hopefully, we're almost there. And one of the items that we wanted to request on Speedway 7-Eleven's behalf is a lighting variance for this site. There's multiple reasons for this, but the main reason is safety. Safety is such a big issue at gas stations, and 15-foot candles under a canopy is not very bright, and the lower the levels, it's harder to see the canopy, the fuel. Safety, I know when I'm at a gas station, the brighter stations, I personally feel safer at as a female than some of the ones that are kind of dim and out in the middle of nowhere. So it is a lot related to safety. I will point out, sorry, I forgot I have this in this hand, where the site is located. Is it switching?
So just for overall, we've all received site plans, locations,
Okay.
feedback,
And if that's
everything.
not working, Mandy, I can drive.
If you go to the next. So you guys all have seen where the location is, and I know lighting is a kind of a concern because of the neighborhood just to the trailer park to the south of us. So we're aware of that. We know that is a concern. There is, if you want to go to the next slide, sorry, a heavy tree line along that rear lot line, which we will be leaving in place. So that will help reduce any of the impact that it would have on that rear neighbor. With the request, I know, excuse me, 7-Eleven's minimum standard for a site under a canopy for their safety, and they don't even like it, but the minimum that they will usually even approve for their sites is an average of 25-foot candle. Just to put that out there, that's in their design guidelines. Anything below that, we have to get approval through so many people, and a lot of times they don't even move forward with the sites. It's a safety concern, and it is a concern for theirs. One thing with this site too that I will point out, as you can see on the image in front of you, that yellow area is a 100-foot scenic MDOT easement. So we cannot build within that besides landscaping. So part of our issue too is our site has to sit pretty far back from the road. So one, that is a visibility to get vehicles to the station. Pushing it back in, the lighting will help people be able to find our site as well. Our access is only off of Lincoln. We do not have an access off of 31. So again, cars are going to have to turn onto Lincoln if they're coming from, the main thoroughfare there in order to access our site. So lighting is very important for accessibility, safely for the cars to make it there, find the right driveway, enter the site, and then also for the use at the site for the customers. I did go to we did initially submit a plan with for just permitting that does meet code. And the next slide, you can see that is the plan that we submitted for our permitting just to keep things moving along before we could come to the board for the variance. With that, as you can see under the gas canopy, we were below 15, but the average light level was 2 under the canopy, or 12, which is a low level for this type of use. I know after discussions with Tricia, some of the concern, she kind of pointed out a few of the other stations in the area. So I will go to the next slide just to show this is the one that is preferred for 7-Eleven and what they look for underneath their canopy. This is what was submitted to you when we made the submittal. I do have.
It's to the planning commission, is that what you're referring to?
No, when we made for the BZA, the first
Okay,
one was
gotcha.
to the planning commission. This is what we put with our request for our lighting variance request.
Thank you.
Yep, and as you can see on that one, the average under the canopy specifically is 50, so it is quite a bit higher. After discussions with Tricia, she had mentioned there's a few stations that some people really complain about in town, and then there's some that people don't really have much to say about as far as lighting. So we went out and did some light readings. So the next slide, you'll see this is the mobile, or the Speedway station at 16th, on 16th. And this one, she had mentioned, doesn't really have a lot of complaints as far as the lighting. They feel it's safe, it's not overly bright. This one measures around 43-foot candle, like when you're directly underneath the light, so at like the hot spot under the canopy. The next one down would be the mobile across the street from the trailer park. And I know she said that one gets complaints, it's very bright. And when I drove up to it, I was surprised at how bright it was at nighttime. And that one reads at 62. So to just kind of give you an idea of, in the area, what the different stations are visually. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to those two stations, but just to kind of point it out. So if you take the Speedway from a 40 and down to below a 15, it's quite a bit dimmer. It is, and I think the Mr. Car Wash, said meet codes, but you have to look, they have one light at every single parking or vac, where in a canopy, your lighting is up at the canopy height, so you're 16 feet off the ground. It's not lower, closer to you. It's a little bit harder to get light uniformity with that setting. So with that, I did go back and do the third plan, because after taking those light readings, I was like, oh, the 60 we don't want to be at, because looking at that mobile, it was quite a bit brighter than even I honestly had expected. And I know the plan we submitted had some 60s. And so I did, and I can provide the plan. I'm sorry I didn't get it to you in advance. And with this third slide, the next slide down, this is lower than what was originally, what was submitted to you for a request. But this one here, our gas canopy, the average is 28. It's the low is 15, and then the max is 35. So this is the minimum. It meets that 25-foot average under a canopy that 7-Eleven is looking for safety, just pure for safety. It's not what they prefer. What they preferred was that 60. So we're asking in lieu of the 60 that was submitted, because again, after going and looking at some things, that this middle of the line where we kind of meet in the middle so that we meet the safety, we're really concerned about safety. We want to make sure our customers are safe. And then again, having the setback from the road, we're not right up in a busy area as far as, if you're around a bunch of other businesses, you kind of have some light spillage. We're kind of a standalone out there on our own in that corner. Again, along the rear lot line 2, with those trees, we put the trees in to mirror it. It is a 0 at that backside. So behind the building, it is not as light. Behind the building, it does meet that 15 max. It's just the canopy and the walkway between the canopy and the building, and then where the underground storage tanks are. Actually, the new plan doesn't even have it where the underground storage tanks, it's below the 15. So it's more that heavy traffic for customers, the canopy and that walkway between the canopy and the building, that we're requesting to be above that 15-foot candle reading per code. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I should have given you the PDF for the other new plan. I'm sorry, I didn't. I just got it made after doing my site visits around the town. I was like, oh, let's change some stuff. So I apologize I didn't get that one submitted to you guys, but I can provide any information on it that you might need.
Thank you. So I think I'll jump in for a couple quick ones here, but I think the stations that you highlighted and the ones you went out and measured were approved and constructed before the new ordinance.
Correct.
That's the first thing. And then I can appreciate, 7-Eleven having their standards, but they do fall under the ordinance, and they're over and above what we're allowing or what the ordinance says at this point in time. Just a general overview, and there are some similar type facilities that have been built under the new ordinance, which you.
Not gas stations, though.
What are the gas stations?
No, she's correct.
Car
Mr.
wash?
Car Wash is just a car wash, and then the other example I gave everybody was the corporate offices for the Tommy's Car
Gotcha.
Wash headquarters on
Okay.
40th.
So this is something new for us, gas station wise, anyway.
This will be the first gas station constructed since
Gotcha.
the ordinance was adopted in 2021.
Thank you. That's all I got right now. If anybody's got any additional questions for the applicant.
What changed between the last plan that was approved and now this plan?
So as far as the site layout, nothing, just the lighting. 7-Eleven, when they saw our approved plan for their internal review, said, ooh, we can't approve this, it's a safety concern. And if we didn't go for a variance and a minimum get designed, they're really held liable for everything. I mean, it's a very much a liability issue for them to not have proper lighting on their sites. So in order for their management to even approve and move forward with this lease, they required us to come in and attempt to get the variance. Again, they really do want it. I don't even know if they would approve it if we don't. I'm not saying that for sure. I'm just simply saying it is a major concern and liability for them. So again, what I did provide with your package, I agree, it's very bright. Looking at that mobile station, it's more in line with that one. But I feel that the revised plan, which I can provide with the maximum, under the canopy, they had a maximum of 35-foot candles. I should get my word file here, or my PDF.
I think that's what you
These
said
numbers
earlier.
are hard to
Yeah,
see.
that's what you said.
Thank
Yeah.
you. My old eyes. I need to zoom.
Can you tell us more about the approval process through 7-Eleven?
Yeah. So the approval process, because it's a developer project, however, 7-Eleven will be the one who runs it. It's a 20-year lease that they will go into once the developer builds the site. So with that, we have to submit all of our construction plans for like a final construction inspection through the 7-Eleven design team and their group, if that makes sense. And when they reviewed it, it came up as a red flag that the lighting levels were so low. for
But
this
were
site.
they aware of that before?
The 7-Eleven team was not aware of it. The developer was, but 7-Eleven themselves was not aware of it until they did their final construction review of the plans and then realized how low the levels were. And that's
And-
when the concern really came up.
And that construction review from 7-Eleven came after the approval from City of Holland Planning Commission?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can we vote or approve on something that's not in the packet? Sounds like there's a new
No.
proposal. Okay, so that's off the table, so we're only voting on these 60 candle.
We
You
could
could-
propose an amended motion.
Okay,
You could table the application for additional information to have a chance to review it if you felt that the questions that you have to ask would be met with the new plan.
And I believe you can correct if I'm wrong, because it is a lower light level than what was submitted. Is it similar like signage? If you request a bigger sign, they can approve a smaller sign? No? Okay, just curious.
Anything more than what the ordinance requires has to get a variance.
Well, yeah.
So then they still have to answer all the questions, even if it doesn't matter if it's the plan you submitted or it's better. They still have to, so they could table the application to January to have an opportunity to review the new plans. But it kind of depends on how the board's feeling about the questions that they legally have to answer to approve or deny the application.
Okay, thank you.
thanks for the clarity.
Another question regarding the 7-Eleven standards. What is that, what are their lighting standards based off of?
Their lighting standards are based on safety specifically from what the studies they have done at all of their different stations throughout. I mean, they have between Speedway and 7-Eleven and, I mean, Stripes, they have stations all over the place. You know, so they're, like I said, their preferred, I had the chart on there for you just for a visual, is quite a bit higher. But what the revised plan that we would, at a minimum, in order for them to approve it, is solely on safety. And it's based on all their different sites and all their open locations.
Is there something particular about this lot that causes you to come to us for a variance, or is this something that you would do at anywhere in the city of Holland?
Anywhere in any city, we would not want to construct a site with 15-foot candles under a canopy. So it's not specific to this site.
Makes sense. Thank you.
I have a question for staff. Was there, how were these lighting levels determined? I mean, for the ordinance, yeah, I don't know. I mean, did they take into account, I mean, you can only take into account so many types of businesses, but can you shed any light on how it came about?
I was not particularly involved when this particular ordinance section was created,
Okay.
but typically when we do ordinance changes, we look at other communities. We look at what their standards are. We had a professional zoning consulting firm that helped create and write the new ordinance, so we rely on their expertise as they write ordinances all across the state of Michigan, and we lean on them to help get us in the right location.
Okay.
And so I have a question about that as well, because we see the difference from the mobile to the speedway. When was the mobile approved, and did they have to get a variance to put those extra bright lights that they have as opposed to the speedway?
So the previous zoning ordinance did not contain a maximum foot candle light level in the ordinance. So we had no regulations on the maximum foot candles. Now we do. And all those gas stations were built prior to 2021. So those are all existing stations. They're non-conforming. But any gas station that would come today to be built, we would require them to meet the 15-foot candle requirement.
So this proposed station is across the street from that mobile that you showed us?
So
Down the street a little bit.
Down the
It's
street?
To
Okay.
the mobile, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the mobile
that's
was
right.
on that image as well. It's,
I'm familiar.
yeah.
Okay,
it's on
thanks.
the west
That's
side
right.
of
Okay.
Lincoln.
So would it hurt business to have a brighter gas station on the same street?
Well, ours wouldn't be as bright as theirs.
Right. So right, if their gas station is much brighter on the same street, would that harm business, or do you think business would be about the same regardless of
I
light
feel,
levels?
I mean, if someone felt more safe, maybe, possibly, if they went there because it was a safety issue late at night, if they know the two stations, but it's hard to say or specify one way or the other on that.
Does 7-Eleven have any data on that with their stations and light levels? Like, do brighter stations give more ROI on these projects?
I don't believe they have any specific data, one way or the other, on their open stations, if the brighter ones get more or less. If they do, I'm not aware of it.
Can we see that third lighting plan?
It's the one right up there, yeah.
I got nothing on that.
I say I have a PDF. It
Zoom
would
it.
be- I know, it's so hard to
If you
see.
can just zoom into the table in the bottom right.
So let me ask the question before you jump into it, George, if you don't mind. So this is somewhere in between what the ordinance says and what you brought forward, okay?
Yeah, and what we submitted for.
So it doesn't meet the criteria either way, and it would have to come back
It would have to come back,
for another round.
but this would at least meet the minimum 7-Eleven safety requirement
Right.
as far as 25 average under the canopy. It's not 25 everywhere, it's an average, so.
Go ahead, George.
I actually like the idea of the brighter lights that you are talking about, but I'm assuming you're gonna have cameras around the whole property as far as safety goes, regardless of what is put in place or approved or denied, right?
Yes, there will be cameras on site.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. You have any more comments before we open the public hearing?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, board, all set? All right. At this time, we're gonna open the public hearing, if anybody wants to speak to this application. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and discuss this between the board and possibly come up with a motion. Board, what are we thinking?
Just a point of discussion, I think. I don't want to, and I don't think we should be evaluating at this group whether the ordinance is correct or not. Is that accurate? So
Correct.
it sounded to me like a lot of the discussion was around whether that ordinance actually should be 15-foot candles for
Yeah,
the site.
it's-
And we're not here to debate that.
Correct, yes,
That
yes.
would have to go to the planning commission.
Right.
So the applicant can always go to the planning commission and request an ordinance amendment, and then staff would review it, compare with other jurisdictions,
Right.
go back to the consultants.
And we've done things like this before.
Yeah.
Deny or approve based on what's there, whether or not we agree with it or not.
But
we are to
yes.
judge it based
You
on
are
what's
we-
there.
Exactly correct.
We're here looking for uniqueness of the site, right? Not here to change law. So I think,
Or other special conditions.
right.
So I think safety and security is kind of the question at hand here. So a couple points I wanted to make. Across the site, security cameras will actually suffer if there's high or poor uniformity, a high difference between the brightest spots and the darkest spots. So I don't know that that is a reason in itself to increase the levels under one portion of the site. And as a design standard, it would make me nervous to increase the whole site under the guise of security there. I also want to add that the 7-Eleven lighting standards are not based on any other professional design standards. It's their own standards, so there's not other professional industry publications to back up that 65 preferred lighting level.
I would concur with that. Any more discussion?
I would say I appreciate the legwork that the applicant and the team has done to notice that 65 could be considered uncomfortable, and sort of lean into the reasons that we have lighting ordinances in the first place. So I appreciate the revised design. I would like to make a motion that we table this application for more information.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have to vote on that tabling? All right. Can we have a roll call, please?
Okay, so the motion is to table the application until the January meeting. Benitez,
Yes.
Lockery,
Yes.
Falstead,
Yes.
Lambers,
Yes.
Peaks,
Yes.
Chair Bedard.
Yes.
Okay, the motion to table passes.
Okay, thank you. I'll get the revised plan in and see you in January.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, moving on to our last application, I believe. Elm Drive. Could you read the applicant, please? Or read the,
Okay, last
Overview.
application is 554 Elm Drive, application 25.09Z. Gordon Julius, on behalf of the property owner Lisa Rabori, is requesting a variance or special exception to build an addition to the house at 554 Elm Drive. The addition will be located 5.875 inches from the south side of the property line where a 7-foot setback is required. The Board of Appeals may approve the request if certain conditions are met.
thank you. Name, address, and tell us what you got going.
Hi, my name is Gordon Julius. I'm here with Lisa Rabori. I'm an architect here in Holland, and my address is 697 49423. 697 Coolidge Avenue, 49423.
Thank you.
Did you breeze through all of the? I wasn't looking, so I didn't know. I don't know what you've seen so far.
We've seen everything that's been submitted from
Okay.
the initial application and anything sent in since that time, leading up
Except
to our 5
for
o'clock.
the additional stuff you sent me.
Oh,
Yeah,
when was that?
We didn't, I was gonna let you explain that.
Oh,
Okay, that's great.
when was that sent? Curious?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
pretty short notice. But the gist of this is, we've got a house that was built in 1921 on a property that was split at some point, we think in the 30s. And another house was built on it. And the splits the property within the guidelines that the city has, and I think that's 5,000 square feet for each property. But what that has done to the owner is it's put the adjacent property line really close to her south wall. And we're asking for an 8x8 mud utility room on the southwest corner of the building itself. And you have a plan that shows that. It might be fairly small, but I do have a plan that she can bring up that blows it up a lot.
Yeah, she can zoom.
And basically, you can see this property line cruising along the building, and I think it's about 8 inches on the east side, and it's down to, well, I guess it's 1 foot 2, and then it creeps down westerly to 8 5/8 inches. And this 8-foot utility space, that corner, if you follow along and within, basically would extend that wall to the point where it would get to 5 7/8 inches from that line. We're already way out of whack when it comes to the zoning requirement, but we're talking here going from 8 5/8 to 5 7/8, which is 2 3/4 inches difference in that distance. And we're not changing the look of the building. We're just running the wall, extending the wall. And in fact, that is going to hide the existing porch on the back. So it actually, in some people's interpretation, might conclude that it would be a better view from the southerly property. It actually acts as a screen. I think that's about it.
All right.
I know we're all over it, but
Yeah.
seems like a small request.
All right. Well, we discussed it in study, and I have a feeling someone might have a question or two for you.
Yeah, I have a question about the, what's the reason for following the same line of the home where it is today? Is there a mandate?
No,
in
well,
permit,
there
or-
isn't. We
Okay.
could bend it, we could push it a little bit, but it doesn't seem like a reasonable exception to bend it to just hold 8 5/8. We could do that. We could push it a foot, but that really pushes the whole building to the north a little bit, and I think the owner would accept that, but it creates another break along that wall, which you may or may not think is attractive, but it causes more issues from a design standpoint, from a cost standpoint. Corner always costs money, and then the roof line would change. Maybe that's an overhang, and we're already in the woods with overhangs, so what do you want me to do there? So we thought we'd come to you with the question and hope that you saw it favorably from the owner's standpoint.
A question I have with what's on the screen here, I don't think we've seen a plan that shows any eaves or the roof line. So with the proposed design where the closest point of the house is 5 7/8 inches from the property line, are there eaves at that corner that hang out from the face of the house?
Yeah, I think there's a 1 foot eve, so we may have to fool with that a little bit to stay.
To stay within the property line?
Yeah. The bright side of this is the owner owns both of these properties to the south and this property, which is very nice, but we could fool around with that property line to create 5,000 square feet on the top one and 5,000 square feet on the bottom one and zigzag that whole property line. But again, it just seems like it's kind of out of reach knowing what we know. And I think that could take place if the owner chose to sell one of these two spaces. They could make some kind of an arrangement there.
Are there eaves hanging over the house where it's at 8 5/8 right now? You mentioned a 1
Yeah, we
foot
have a
eave.
picture of that?
Yes, there are a couple pictures here.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Thank
So
you.
there are eaves hanging over.
Yes, there are eaves, and I think they're 1 foot eaves.
And so it would be what, 3 3/8?
So technically, you got, yeah, a little bit over that property line. So it's a very weird property line, but I understand from the ordinances that they have to be 5,000 square feet.
Something I didn't think about until just now Are there windows proposed in this mudroom?
There aren't windows proposed in that room. There are windows proposed in the pantry and then in the bedroom that's farther to the east. You have the
Okay.
plan with you so you can see, well, I don't know if the plan shows those windows, but the sketch, the elevation sketch does.
Can you elaborate on your thought pattern over there?
Have you talked to the building inspector about putting openings in the firewall that close to the property line? Because there may be a setback requirement for new windows.
There will be a setback requirement between the two spaces, or we can change the caliber of the wall. But we're already in that space anyway, so we're dealing with an 8-foot wall at the end. And it's a solid wall. We can make that a 4-hour wall. So we,
Because I think the building code, Chairman, I think the building code has some restrictions when you put openings
Sure.
into a wall that's that close to the property line.
Can you show
New,
I was gonna say, can you show that picture again?
yeah.
we'd be happy to conform with that.
Yeah, I think she's just kind of giving you a heads up is what she's doing. We're really here to talk about the addition and where it stands in relationship to the property line. These other questions, another group.
They'll come down to the building department.
Okay. All right, yep. Any other questions?
Just a clarification question. Could there be a design solution that maintains the existing setback rather than encroaching upon and further reducing the setback within the addition footprint, such as jogging that wall, offsetting it from the existing wall, etc.?
Pushing the addition.
Well,
4 inches to the north?
Yeah,
or
there
whatever
are a lot of
direction it is.
questions which start to come up. If you look at the property itself, you've got an easement that runs through the north side, which limits your garage and your drive, which is already existing. And it pretty much captures that there. So basically what you're doing is flipping. You could flip this little space with the porch, but there are a lot of associated design-related
Oh, yeah.
components to that, because the kitchen flips, everything gets turned upside down in the house.
I think the question really was more around, can you push the whole box of the mudroom
Not
slash
7
utility
feet.
3 inches, 4 inches over? to
Well,
the-
we can do that. We can push that.
That's what we're
wall.
saying.
Yeah, we can
Not to
push that wall
further
if you-
complicate an already cumbersome situation
Yeah.
with that entire area of the city.
Yeah,
It's cumbersome. Every time we get into stuff over on that end, it's difficult, and
it's lake property.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Well, I understand that, and I eventually drew the conclusion that there wasn't really any special fix that would improve over what we presented. So
Yep.
we just went with it.
Are there any additional non-financial burdens like safety or anything like that that would come up if you were to push the mudroom 4 inches?
I don't have the floor plan with me, but a lot of the design, the internal design components were built around circulation with a wheelchair and, functioning in that kind of an environment. So I'm not sure exactly how it would affect circulation into the mud utility space. It looks like there is certainly going to be some kind of a difference when that wall closes down between the air handling unit and the drawer unit. So it's legitimately a tight space, and we've done with it what we can. Moving it in its entirety to the north tends to crunch down what the caliber of the space is going to be in the kitchen.
All right. Any more questions?
Depending on the pleasure of the board,
Yes.
If you wanted to see additional designs that change the location of the addition, and you requested the applicant to submit those designs, you would have the option to table this application as well. And if the addition did not get closer to the property line than the existing home, the board could consider the application under the along or within standards of the ordinance, which would have a different set of questions. Food for thought.
What if we just deny it at this point in time? It's a reboot.
Then it's all done, and
So-
then if they wanted to change it, he would have to submit a new application and come back.
But we could amend this application if we tabled it.
You could table it, yes,
That
to
makes
get
sense.
additional information,
But we can't amend it here and approve it as
because we
submitted.
haven't seen what the
Yep, we can't
proposed
say
plan
move
might
it
be.
4 inches or whatever, it's too,
It's kind of like the
Wide
last
open.
application, you hadn't seen the drawing or
Yep.
design, and we
Okay.
would not be able to stand behind you legally if you approved something that you had never seen.
understood.
Interest, what about the fenestration of a firewall that you were talking about?
It's gonna have to be.
I don't remember if Eric or
construction.
George said
That's-
it, but really, it's irrelevant to the
Separate.
conversation.
That's,
Separate law.
okay,
For
but
us.
it's
It is,
not
yeah.
within this scope. Okay,
Correct.
Right.
So I apologize for
Nope.
distracting the group with an
It's all good.
irrelevant
It's
question.
all good. Well, that's a consideration. Does the board want to consider that?
Well, we still have him up. Do we
Oh,
want
True
to?
story. Any more comments? Any more questions? And then we got to go through our public hearing and all that, and then we'll discuss it all. Do you have a preference?
I'm sorry.
Do you, knowing what you know now, that you have the opportunity to have us table it and bring it back in January, does the applicant want us to consider that? As long as we're still talking and I haven't shut your time off, you get an opportunity to tell us how you're feeling about this here, about what you know and what we've discussed so far.
All right. Well, from a design standpoint, I don't know if there's 2 or 3 or 4 inches that makes any kind of sense. We can lop off that overhang and get
Yeah.
that. So,
This is complicated, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay.
we can make a decision about 8 inches, 10
All right.
inches,
All right.
and then we can go administrative review. Okay,
I think we're all set.
okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
All right. Anybody else want to speak to this application?
I would like to ask him a question.
sorry, go
Can I
ahead.
ask you a question?
Absolutely.
If you were to hook into that back corner where the
Yeah.
7 feet is minimum,
Yep,
is the property line cockeyed or is the
Yeah.
house cockeyed?
it's totally cockeyed.
So you would still have to, once you hook into here, your addition is gonna be
Yeah, I'm
cockeyed this way.
breaking
if
the
you
wall off.
Follow the property line 7 feet.
Correct.
It's still gonna be,
Yeah, it's gonna be
Right.
a kind of a wonky little detail.
if you follow the 7 feet from the property line, because the property line is wonky, as you said.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So can I ask one more question?
Absolutely,
Am I
please.
allowed to ask a question based on what I believe will happen in the?
You can
Okay.
speak freely.
Based on the questions that I see here, I don't feel comfortable legally approving this. I wouldn't stand behind that. You can go forward, but I want your opinion on, do you want us to table this or and come back with a different design that has a different set of questions that aren't as harsh, where we're going for, what is it, a special exception rather than a variance, which would have a different legal standard? Or do you prefer we do not approve and then you can go back to the drawing board and see? My gut tells me that this does not meet the threshold for each one of these questions. I think it may for some, but it needs to meet for all. But I'll put that to you for your opinion on
Well,
where you'd like to
I
go.
would defer immediately to the owner. And I don't know if there is an advantage. We
Yeah, I
can
was trying to
table it,
figure
we
that
can
out
get
too. Is
right
there actually an
back.
advantage one way or the other?
Yeah,
the process may be shorter, I would guess, if we could amend the current, and then you wouldn't have to pay an additional filing fee. So if you believe
table
that
it.
there's a good enough chance that we would deny today, that it's worth that filing fee and extra effort.
Is that really the only thing that they're saving is If we deny it, it's $75 or whatever it is. So the timeline's looking like the same as far as I can tell. The only difference is if we table it, you don't have to pay the other $75 and reapply. That's the only difference. Either way, this doesn't look good. You're coming back one way or the other, one way or the other.
Yeah, so
I
it
mean,
really doesn't matter to
I'm
us.
not, I don't know what my fellow board members are gonna do here, but
Right.
what I'm seeing says you're coming back.
Well, then I'm thinking that we'll pay the $75 and we'd like to hear you.
Okay.
I'd like to persuade each and every one of you to the best of my ability.
An educational opportunity. I like
To,
that.
yeah.
I have a question as well. Can I just clarify this?
Absolutely. Keep
This
going.
is, we're starting at 8 feet and going down to 5 feet?
Inches.
Inches.
Okay, so it's considerable, right? At the corner, the end corner, it's down to 5 inches.
Yep.
From,
Property line.
The
Yeah.
difference
From 8 feet.
between, the difference between what
So this
is
is 8
now,
inches up
right
here.
now,
Okay.
and what will be is 2 3/4 inches. 2 3/4 inches.
And anything less than 7 feet away from the property line has to come back to this board.
Yeah. You could tell us that you don't want an overhang there.
So did somebody already get a variance to build this to begin with?
No, this is existing, probably
There
was
was no
built before it was
guidelines
annexed
back
into
there
the
or something,
city.
No zoning
yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All right. Have a seat. We'll see if somebody else wants to add to it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else to speak to this application? Your name and address.
My name is Lisa Rabori, and my legal address is 1004 LaRue Street in Houston, Texas. I'm also the property owner of 558 and 554, so the 2 adjacent properties.
Thank you.
I have had the joy of owning both of these properties in Central Park, and especially 554 was the first property that I've had it now for, 15 years. And I'm committed to keeping the structures, I'm committed to keeping the historic nature of the structures and not destroying or altering the street view or necessarily building on top, building up or taking up more property than possible or necessary, or more dirt than necessary. I was told, because of zoning, the differences in the zoning variances or zoning requirements for internal, the furnace and the hot water heater, and there's no air conditioner, and that I needed to change the location and allow for more space between them. And so that's what this addition is striving to do.
Okay.
So, and with all of the gas lines and so on already running to that corner of the building, along with the sewer lines and so on, that seemed to be the most efficient way by adding this addition on. So I guess I would really appreciate your consideration. Again, we can go and look at shuffling or reducing the width of that add-on, or moving it totally over if I understood, 4 inches.
We're talking the overhang too. We still that's gotta get sorted out too.
A foot is,
It's gonna get complicated, and building department's gonna have to chime in on that, correct? Okay.
okay. Well, I appreciate so much.
We get out of our wheelhouse, we get in trouble, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
seeing it's out of my wheelhouse way, so, but I do appreciate your consideration and willingness to talk to us about this, and hope that when we come back, and you want to do it all over again?
Of course not. I want to get it over with.
So you want to, we'll reapply?
Well, there's
What's the
nothing
most
to add.
efficient way
Let's
for
have the
everybody?
board-
Reapply?
We'll figure it out.
Lisa, let's have the board vote, and then if we get a favorable ruling, we won't need to reapply. Otherwise, we'll need to reapply.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your
All right.
time.
Anybody else to speak to this application? Seeing none, we'll close the public participation here, and we'll come back to the board, and we'll have a discussion, and we'll decide.
And I did not get any
No
other
letters or
public
anything?
comment,
Really?
no,
Okay.
for this application.
And before we start talking, Central Park is a unique,
Oh, yes.
totally unique situation
Yeah.
with the zoning board and ordinances, so. Open to the board, go ahead.
It was a very fun conversation and certainly a unique property. But I think I'm with, Eric kind of led to it in his questioning. We have to be able to present findings of fact to all of these. The one I struggle with the most is this self-created essentially? And because it's an addition, it is self-created. And while I understand the reasoning for wanting to continue along that same plane of the existing exterior wall of the house, it's a self-created situation, and I don't think that we have any business saying otherwise. So personally, I think there are opportunities to not necessarily flip the whole floor plan on its head, but just scooch, and like we've alluded to, if there's a design solution that does not create new footprint closer than the existing 8 5/8 inches, then this whole case would be considered differently, and it may be more favorable that way. So that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or motion?
I just want to say something. I don't see anything wrong with approving this. If we're only going to ask them to come back and move another 2 inches over, I thought maybe we were going to ask them to go within the 7-foot setback guidelines, but we're not. We're just going to ask them to come back and redo this for 2 inches. In my opinion, if they can set the eaves correct so the water doesn't run off the property line to the neighbor, because as she owns it now, that's great, but if it were to sell, now the neighbor has a problem with her, so.
And I think, I commenting on that, I think we just don't have enough information to be able to give any kind of revised approval.
There's no new
Tricia
plan.
pointed out earlier,
right?
we don't have enough.
So we're not saying that we will approve something if it's moved 3 inches. I think we're just saying like this does not meet the high standard legal hurdles that it has here with these questions in front of us. Now, maybe Tricia can speak to the questions that we would get if we were seeking a special exception rather than a variance. But with these questions on the variance, I would vote to deny because, I don't know if we can. If you want,
Well, you can make a motion and just roll with it if you want.
Well, I think it's good to talk through.
What do you got going over there,
It's
Tricia?
great to talk through what would come next, right? Because would we ask for the 7-foot? I don't know what questions are on there. I would imagine some of these are the same, and we may not even approve the other one as well.
They are actually different.
Okay, they're totally different. There are
Yes.
none
Yes.
that overlap.
Special exceptions.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Special exceptions are totally different.
Correct.
Okay.
And back to what we were talking about, yes, I get it's 2 inches, but it's really that question of did the current property owner do something that created the need for this variance? And the whole nature of the addition is creating the need. So that's where, whether or not I agree with it as a design choice, I don't think I can.
Although there are unique circumstances and physical conditions with the property that.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to
Agreed.
answer all the questions at the
Correct.
same time.
Yeah.
So
We don't.
Agreed,
Yeah.
but I think that there are some other design options that they've not considered.
The other one that gets me is the requested 5.875 inch setback, the minimum necessary. And I would say when we talked about the eave setback and not having overhang over, if we weren't talking special exception coming up, we were just talking what sort of variance would we need. I would want it back at least as far away as the eaves would be from the previous, or from the next door neighbor.
Whatever the ordinance dictates.
I think the ordinance is 7-foot setback for building, right?
Wow.
So,
Yeah, so the
but
5/8 in front
know what I'm
doesn't
saying.
follow.
I do, but there's, like, what is the minimum, right? I
Yeah.
think we might come to a different consensus about what the minimum would be, but I don't think 5.8 is the minimum.
right, I think the key difference is this 2 3/4 of an inch takes it from being a variance to being a special exception, which we will consider differently and have a different set of questions to have to answer.
Can we dig into what those are? Are those established? That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I can tell you what they are. So you see the variance questions, because everybody's got a copy of those. So for a special exception Question number 1 is, the Board of Appeals may approve the request if it finds that the proposed use is conforming. Is the use conforming for the zone district? Is the encroachment in character with the existing neighborhood? And will the extension of the building be detrimental to adjoining properties? Those are the questions for a special exception.
I don't know how the board would vote on that without seeing a design, but I can say those are a lot lower hurdle than the questions that we have in front of us today with a variance.
So with that, I motion to table this application.
Seconded.
Findings of fact. Or do we have, no, we just have to vote? Just have to vote.
Or I should
Well-
say, I motion to table the application for amendment to be a special exception for along and within rather than a variance.
No, I think we just, we'll see what they have to say.
The applicant is not asking.
Turn on your microphone.
My only comment is, it doesn't sound like the applicant is asking for
I would agree.
this to be tabled. They're asking for a decision.
Yes or no?
Well, then I motion to deny the application.
I
Second.
support.
Okay.
Wait.
And for the
who's-
findings
who's
of fact?
seconded?
I didn't see, they went too
Eric did.
fast?
Eric seconded? Okay.
All right.
Do I need to present finding of fact? And for all the questions? Okay, are there unique circumstances or physical conditions with the property such as narrowness, shallowness, shape, water, or topography? Yes, there are unique circumstances given the location of the house on the lot and the unique smallness of the lot. Did the current property owner do something that created the need for the variance? Yes, they did. It's a self-created situation due to the nature of this being a building addition. Will strict compliance with the required 7-foot setback unreasonably prevent the property owner from using the property for an allowed use? I would say yes, given the floor plan of the house. I don't believe that it makes sense to require this addition to be a full 7-foot setback. Is the requested 5.875 inch setback the minimum necessary? Yes, that would be the minimum necessary based on the current application. Does the board think the requested variance will cause a negative impact on the neighbors? No, I do not think that it would cause a negative impact on the neighbors.
Why?
Because it is within the nature of the existing encroachment on the property setback.
Yeah, that's within reason of the current property conditions. I would revisit 4 as well and say, no, that's not the minimum necessary. I think given the overhang of the eaves, we might be able to say that the minimum necessary would be at least enough to ensure that there's no overhang of any of the parts of the structure onto the property.
Thank you for adding that.
Rachel, you good? Roll call, please.
And the motion is to deny, is that correct?
Correct.
So a yes gets us to
Deny.
a denial. Just wanted to clarify.
No, not a problem. Always ask. Thank you.
All right, so the motion is to deny the application. Benitez,
Yes.
Falstad,
Yes.
Lambers,
Yes.
Peaks,
Yes.
Lockery,
Yes.
and Chair Bedard.
Yes.
Okay, the motion to deny passes.
All right, I think that is all our business for this evening, unless staff has something else for us.
No, I have nothing, but it sounds like we'll be back in January with
So-
updated information on the gas station.
Yes, so next one is January 22nd. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Seconded. Or
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Second.
Getting anxious there. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, happy holidays, and thank you very much.